you, where do you think that relatably funny sense or that relatably funny character trait comes from? Did you always have that? Did you develop that? Where do you see that coming from?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like I don't know where it comes from. I feel like sometimes when you are in comedy, there's people who are like weirdos and there's people who are like a little more normal, and like I'm not calling these people weird, but like comedy can bring out like a weirder person that's a little more quirky and like bizarre things, not any less funny. I feel like I fall in the meme of the realm of like somebody you're friends with who happens to be funny, and I feel like I can like understand these specific characters that are relatable to my audience, but I see what makes them funny and like what makes people a little ridiculous. So like all of my characters are like 60 to 70% based on me and like things I've actually done, but like exaggerated to a point that it's comedic. Like Brad from Murray Hill, this is what I do in the Comic Club, is like some of the like more asshole moves I've made as a guy dating girls when I was 22 that like I kind of regret a little bit, but like looking back on it, like realize like how dumb I was being. Like I think because a lot of it comes from just being a little stupid about,
so,
and like emotionally.
So you're making fun of a less evolved version
of myself
of yourself
in all these different characters. I feel like,
yeah. No, I definitely, I was a different version of Brad from Murray Hill, but I did a lot of the same shit that Brad
and a lot of
does.
people, that's why it's relatable. Like, unfortunately, that character is a little bit relatable, and like, I would like to think I was never mean-spirited about it and was more of just like careless and a little selfish, but like,
could you explain to people who the Brad from Murray Hill character is?
I have another page, yet another thing that I'm doing.
The Comic Club,
the Comic Club. The Comic Club.
Work.Retire.Die and the Comic Club.
And the Comic Club. So that's kind of my outlet for relatable humor that's not work-related. And it's basically, so the concept of the Comic Club is another thing we would kind of say as some of my buddies, like, you're joining the Comic Club when you finally get your paycheck and you finally have a comma in your bank account for the first time. And then you pay rent or you buy 10 Bud Lights at the bar and you're out of the Comic Club.
Back to $16. Right?
Yeah. So it's like kind of making fun of being like 22 to 24, living in New York City specifically, because I feel like people really relate to like a finance bro in New York City. And like, that's the other thing is like, I do like to punch up a little bit, whereas like making fun of, you can make fun of a finance bro from New York City because like nobody feels bad for them. Really, you can make.
You're making six figures.
I'm a straight white male. Like I can't like make.
You're the most attackable character in comedy.
And so it's easier if I attack myself, a version of myself, than not that I would, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so anyway, so I have these characters. One of them is Brad from Murray Hill. It's mainly dating things, and it's like POV. You like woke up in Brad's bed in Murray Hill, and it's like, what do you want a second pillow? Like, why do I have shit like that, where it's like stuff we've all kind of been through, but like a little exaggerated, a little ridiculous enough to like makes you feel like it's a joke and not just like verbatim. But yeah, I like the relatable stuff. I think I do also have a side that does more like absurd, quirky stuff that I was doing with Lemon Hands a little bit. But I think like the stuff that hits for me is the relatable stuff, which is like cool. But like a lot of times it's like, it's almost mining everything that happens to me in my life for comedy, which is great. But then at the end of the day, it's like hard to flip the switch sometimes where like I'm like hanging out with people. I'm like, oh, that's a funny bit. Like people who do this, like it's a little hard to flip the switch.
Yeah. So I'm super interested in this because I deal with this a lot, kind of like seeing ideas for podcasts out in the wild. How do you actually record things? Do you use voice memos? Do you use notes? If you see something, like you're on the subway and you see something, you're like, I'm going to record a TikTok about this later. I'm going to make a podcast, write an article about this later, whatever it is. Like, what is your method of recording, like from the point that you see it to taking it down so that you don't forget it? What does that look like?
I do a lot of notes app stuff, and then I'll just go through them like and see if there's something there. That's kind of it. Or I'll like write something as a tweet and save it as a draft, where it's just like not even a tweet, it's just like the thought of the tweet, and then I'll like go and punch it up
and
later.
Then you have it there.
Yeah, but I do have to write stuff down a lot.
I feel like it's good.
It's a good habit
that you write it down, and also that you're able to make fun of yourself and past versions of yourself, because not a lot of people are willing to do that, and sometimes I don't even take that into consideration often enough, where I'm always looking for like the other thing that's funny, and I'm not looking at myself. I'm just
What's
like, dude, like if someone was recording me on a daily basis, like if I was watching myself and I didn't know it was me, I'd be like, oh my god, this dude's a fucking gold mine.
It's like there's a lot of shit going on with this guy.
Yeah,
it's especially now that I like quit my job and I make content all the time. It's like, it is pretty funny that I'm just like stuck in my apartment by myself making TikToks all the time. It's such a bizarre thing. Like a couple times, like my girlfriend's mom was like staying with us, and I'm like making a TikTok while she's like in the other room.
Yeah.
And it's like, you realize how fucking ridiculous it is what you do sometimes.
Yeah.
Like if your brother was sitting in that room right now, you would you probably wouldn't feel that self-conscious because it's your brother.
Podcast not as much, because I've done Zoom podcasts or in-person podcasts where my brothers actually helped me record it.
Fair.
But like when someone else is here, I zone out. But TikToks for sure. Like
you're like recording yourself being like, oh, and you're like, that was a bad one.
Like most of the time I don't. I'm just like, I can't do this with anyone else.
Totally.
In the room or sometimes even like if I hear someone outside in the hallway. You're like, I'm just like, I'm gonna wait till this person leaves, even though they like I see that person once a month.
My neighbors must think I'm crazy, because like I'll say the same line 5 different times, and they're like, dude, just that was a good enough take. Like, shut the fuck up. We're on a conference call right now.
Yeah, like Brad really loves that extra pillow.
Stop doing TikTok. Yeah, exactly.